The story begins as we see a boy named Akira reading by himself, but another student named Nanase asks him if he likes isekai stories. So he notes that he just reads anything he can find for free, and he overhears some girls talking about how they didn't even realize he was in their class. But a portal suddenly appears above them. They're all teleported to a mysterious place, where a man named Chamberlain notes that the king will speak to them, but when they start asking questions, he tells them to stay quiet. The king reveals that they're in the kingdom of Urtis, which is the largest nation on the human continent, but we learn that it's being attacked by the demons. He explains that only a hero who will be selected from them can defeat the demon lord, but Akira is happy to learn about it, since it's exactly like one of his isekai stories. Chamberlain tells them to place their hands on a crystal ball and say the word status in their minds, so that everyone can see their stats. One of the students is disappointed to learn that he isn't the hero, but Chamberlain mentions that his starting stats are above average, so he can still go down in history by helping the hero. All the students check their stats, and Akira realizes that he's been classified as an assassin, but Nanase thinks it suits him, since their classmates don't even know he's in their class. A boy named Sato ends up getting selected as the hero, and Chamberlain mentions that his attack power is insane, but Akira is confused since he has the highest stats in their class. Nanase tells him to go to the crystal, but he thinks it might cause problems for him if he reveals his abnormal stats, and he isn't even sure if the king is telling the truth about the demon lord. So he decides to use a skill called Conceal Presence to make himself invisible, and he manages to hide from everyone. After that, Chamberlain tells them to rest for the night, but Akira notices a camera and realizes they're being monitored, so he thinks something suspicious is going on. At night, Akira goes out to investigate, and as he looks around, he realizes that they really are in a different world. He jumps onto a castle, and he's surprised by how athletic he is, but he hears the king talking with the princess, so he hides his presence and listens in. The king asks her if everything's going according to their plan, and she mentions that the students are from a world without magic, so they won't cause problems. He tells her to keep them out of the castle archives, since they can't have them learning too much, so Akira thinks they're up to no good. As he's standing behind the king, he thinks about how he can end his life immediately, but he decides against it and leaves. The next day, Akira wonders if he should tell everyone what he learned, but he doesn't know how to make them believe him. Sato notes that they got stronger after coming to the world, telling everyone he wants to use his powers to help the king, and they all agree with him. After that, they meet a knight commander named Saran, who notes that he'll be the one training them. He mentions that after 1 month, they'll go to a dungeon to test their strength, but he knows they have no clue about how the world works. Meanwhile, Akira continues his investigation, but Saran notices him, which surprises Akira, since he never turned off his Conceal Presence skill. He wonders if it wore off since it has reached its max duration, so Saran notes that his skill is still active, but he has special eyes that let him see the changes in temperature. Akira prepares to fight him, but Saran tells him to stay calm since he won't tell the king, which surprises him, and he asks Saran if he isn't on the king's side. So he mentions that the situation is complicated, and Akira tells him he wants to read the archives since he knows nothing about this world. Saran asks him about the level of his Conceal Presence skill, so he reveals that it's maxed out, but mentions that his other skills are at level 1, and he has no idea how to raise them. Saran offers to teach him, and he mentions that Akira won't find what he's looking for in the archives, which makes him think about how excited he's been since coming to the new world. But he still needs to find a way to get back to his family, and Saran has no idea how he can return to his world, but he thinks Akira still needs to get stronger to survive. Akira doesn't like to accept help for free, so Saran notes that he can pay him by telling him stories about his world, since he wants to learn about it. After that, they begin their training, and Akira wonders if it will really help him increase his skill level. So Saran mentions that a person can only level up their class by eliminating monsters, but skills can be leveled up through training. He mentions that in addition to humans and demons, there are also elves and beast folk in their world, but they all live on different continents, and Akira tells him about his world as part of their deal. A knight named Gillis tells Saran that the other students are progressing well, but he complains about his workload, which is too much for him since Saran only focuses on Akira. He mentions that Akira's stories about his world are interesting, and he tells Gillis that Akira's Conceal Presence skill is maxed out, which surprises him since only the first hero was able to achieve that. Akira arrives and shows Saran a book he found in the archives, so he reveals that he wrote it and disguised it as a recipe book, but he was sure that Akira would find it. He notes that their king has lost his mind, so they can't just stand by and let him do whatever he pleases, but the knights owe a great debt to the royal family. Akira notes that after he read the book, he realizes that Saran is looking for a peaceful end to the king's reign, but he thinks it would be easier if he just killed the king, since he has no ties to the world. He mentions that on the night they were summoned, he snuck into the king's study and had the opportunity to end his life, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. Saran thinks he made the right choice, since killing a man is a huge burden to carry, and he notes that even though Akira has been given the assassin class, he doesn't need to eliminate anyone. Akira agrees with him, since he knows that if he ended someone's life, his mother and sister would never forgive him. He asks Saran why he's looking out for him, so he explains that it's because he has high hopes for him, since instead of following what everyone is doing, he's using his mind to choose another path. He thinks that only someone who has endured a lot in life can do that, and Akira tells him he's the first person to praise him, but he asks Akira to help him with his coup in exchange. After a month, Saran leads the students to the dungeon, but Akira is surprised to see the number of people who have come to see them off. He sees a girl staring at them, so he asks her if something's wrong, and she's annoyed at how everyone treats them as heroes. She reveals that a lot was sacrificed to summon them, but he has no idea what she's talking about, so she notes that they'll speak again when he discovers the answer on his own. As they reach the dungeon, they start defeating the monsters, but they start to get overwhelmed, so Akira suggests retreating, and Saran thinks it's a good idea. He uses his divine sword to clear a path, and they rush to the exit, but they run into another group of monsters. Sato remembers the smoke bomb he was given to keep the monsters away, and he tries to use it, but he's shocked to see that it only made them stronger. Gillis and Akira catch up to them, and Gillis is shocked to see a minotaur attacking them, while Akira immediately rushes towards it. He dodges its attack and tries to stab its neck, but his sword shatters since its skin is too tough, and Sato tries to help him. But Akira tells him to stop since his arms are broken, and he notes that it's his job as the hero to protect them, but Akira tells Sato that they can take care of themselves. He starts to lose his mind since he thinks he has failed as the hero, and Akira tells a girl to use Dispel on Sato while he goes to fight the Minotaur. He notes that he plans to use his secret skill since he needs to fight with everything he's got, so Saran tells him to wait for his signal. Saran's body starts glowing, and he hits the Minotaur with a lightning strike, while Akira activates his shadow magic. The Minotaur tries to hit Saran with its axe, but Akira stabs it with his shadow spikes, and he starts reeling it into the darkness. He manages to cut off its head, but he starts to lose control over his magic, so Saran calms him down. After they return to the castle, Saran thanks Akira since they were able to survive thanks to him, but he notes that Saran is the one who stopped his magic from going berserk. Saran mentions that the spell takes a toll on Akira's body, so even though it's powerful, he should only use it when he has no other choice. Saran gives him a katana forged by the first hero, and he wonders why Saran isn't giving it to Sato, so he mentions that he doesn't want the king to notice it, since he stole it from the royal armory. He mentions that the katana's name is written on the hilt, and he notes that he can't read it, but Akira knows the language since it's inscribed in Japanese. He reads a message from the first hero, which mentions that he hopes the katana will find its rightful successor, and Akira wishes that he could have met him. Akira is still worried about Sato, since the curse on him was insanely strong, and Saran thinks he knows who's behind it. At night, we see the princess using a crystal to curse Sato, but Akira appears behind her and cuts the crystal in half. He asks her why she cursed Sato, but she refuses to tell him anything, and after he leaves, she opens up a cabinet with a huge number of crystals, which she plans to use on the students. After that, Akira tells Saran his suspicions were right, and he asks Akira if he showed himself to the princess, so he notes that he tried to get information from her, but she didn't give him a straight answer. Saran mentions that she's just the king's puppet, and he tells Akira he shouldn't stay in the castle tonight, since she'll curse every other student except for the hero. But she can't do it to Akira, since she knows nothing about him, so she'll try to have him eliminated. He asks Saran why he isn't scolding him for revealing himself, so he notes that kids are bound to make mistakes, and it's the adult's job to take care of them. Akira wishes there were people like him in his world, so Saran tells him to take him when he goes back, since he wants to see what it's like. The next day, as Akira wakes up, he sees that all the students have gathered outside, so he goes to check what's going on, and he's shocked to see that Saran was killed. Everyone blames him since Saran was killed with the same dagger he was using, and the king orders the knights to capture him, but he uses his conceal presence skill to turn invisible. He gets close to Gillis, who reveals that Saran was killed by the king's personal assassins called the Night Ravens, but he left instructions for Akira in his room, so he should get everything and run away. At night, the princess tells the king that she put curses on all the students except for the hero, so all they need is a reason to declare war on the East. He knows that the students are an important piece for him, and he thinks Akira won't survive for long, but he still tells her to make sure the Night Ravens pursue him. Akira heads to a dungeon, since Saran told him it's the best place to hide, and it's also the fastest way for him to increase his class level. But he warned Akira that his skill won't keep him hidden from the high-level monsters, since they have enhanced smell and hearing. He mentioned that if Akira can level up his assassination skill, he'll be able to hide his scent, footsteps, and even his body's signature, so the monsters won't be able to find him. He recalls that Saran told him he still has a long way to go, but Saran thinks the struggle will be worth it, since once his class level reaches 100, he'll be able to unlock a special skill. Saran told him to fight the bosses he'll find on every 10th floor, and as he enters his first boss room, he sees a chimera, which immediately attacks him. He dodges its claws, but its tail shoots a poisonous attack, which causes him to fall to the ground. It stabs him with its claws and throws him away, but he knows that he can't avenge Saran if he dies there, so he activates his shadow magic, which tears the monster to shreds. But we see that he's in critical condition, so the shadow magic automatically goes into recovery mode and starts healing him. Meanwhile, Sato thinks they should go to fight the Demon Lord, but the others disagree with him, telling him they're still in shock since Akira killed Saran. He realizes that they're under the princess's curse that Gillis told him about, so he decides to go on his own, but a few other students decide to join him. After they leave the city, Sato wonders why the others joined him, and a girl named Yuki mentions that none of them are under the princess's curse. Another student named Asashi thinks he has something to do with it, revealing that he has a hazy memory of destroying crystals in a mysterious room. We learn that Gillis used his manipulation skill to control Asashi, since it was Saran's final order for him, and Asashi thinks he needs to find Akira. Meanwhile, Akira has a dream about the time he met Asashi while he was working on a job, and Akira asks him to never tell anyone at school about it. He reveals that he doesn't want his sister to find out he's working, and they see a picture of their sisters, realizing they're actually friends. As Akira wakes up, he's surprised to see that his injuries have healed, and he opens up his status, and he realizes that his stats have increased. He's amazed that his shadow magic has also gone up 2 levels, even though he only used it once, thinking it must be the reason why it was easier for him to control it. As he continues moving forward, he runs into a slime, so he cuts it open, but he's surprised to find an elf named Amelia inside it. He tries using a skill called World Eyes to get information about her, but he's overwhelmed by the things he can see, so he quickly cancels the skill and thinks he shouldn't use something that dangerous. She wakes up and tells him she's okay, but he has a hard time believing her, since he knows that her HP is only at 2%. He notices that she also has the World Eyes skill, so when she calls him by his name, he tells her she should have the courtesy to ask him for his name, even though he knows she can see his status. She suddenly falls unconscious, and he realizes that she has a fever, so he takes care of her. She wakes up as she hears her stomach rumbling, and he tells her she should sleep, but she can't rest since she's too hungry. He offers her food, and she asks him where he learned to take care of a sick person, so he notes that he's used to doing it, since he looks after his mother who's always ill. She notices that he wrote something on a rock, so she asks him about it, and he mentions it's the floor they're on. She remembers that he said they were on the 75th floor, and she asks him why they went back to the 69th, so he notes that it was the closest source of water. She wonders if he touched her inappropriately, so he assures her that he didn't do anything, and tells her to go to sleep. She reveals that even though she's royalty, no one has ever taken such good care of her, and they both go to sleep. After that, they head to the 80th floor, where she helps him defeat monsters, but he doesn't understand why she's following him since she's already recovered. So she mentions that she just happens to be going in the same direction, and he tells her he won't protect her if something happens, but she assures him that she can take care of herself. They enter a boss room, where a dragon immediately attacks them with its fire breath, but they manage to dodge it. He conceals his presence, while she hits the dragon with her gravity magic, but it still manages to hit Akira. She tells him it's tracing his mana, so he should diffuse his magic into the surroundings, but he reveals that he can't do it. He attacks the dragon with his dark magic, and he stabs its eye with his sword, causing it to crash to the ground. He reveals that he used the mana around him to defeat the dragon, and Amelia is amazed that he can do that, but it suddenly starts glowing, and it transforms into a cat, which shocks them, and Amelia mentions that it's still alive, revealing that it has a shapeshifter skill. She notes that a real dragon wouldn't have gone down that easily, which makes Akira wonder if she's using her world eyes, but she wonders why he isn't using it, so he tells her he can't control it. The cat can't believe that it lost to them, and reveals that it transformed into a dragon for fun, but ended up taking it too far. He's surprised that it can speak, and it tells them to stop treating it like a monster that only acts on instincts, revealing that it was created by the demon lord to be a highly intelligent creature. It thinks a young boy like Akira doesn't know anything, and he reminds it of the situation it's in, but it doesn't care what they do to it as long as it can deliver the demon lord's message. It suddenly stands up, and notes that the demon lord is waiting for Akira in his castle, which makes him wonder how the demon lord knows him, but the cat notes that it has no idea. It lies on the ground, telling him to end its life, since it has fulfilled its duty, but he refuses to kill it, since he doesn't believe that demons are evil. Amelia notes that if they don't eliminate the cat, the boss room won't open, but he still refuses to kill it since he likes cats. So it asks him if he's willing to starve to death there, but he thinks there must be another way out of the room, and she mentions that they can leave if he makes it his familiar. But it tells them the ritual requires the master to have excellent mana control, which it doesn't think Akira has. But Amelia notes that the attack he used is something only the first hero has accomplished, so she's sure that he can start the ritual, but she isn't sure if he'll succeed. He wonders what will happen if he fails, so the cat tells him both of them may end up dying, but he doesn't care and decides to go through with it. Amelia doesn't understand why he's willing to go to such great lengths instead of just eliminating the cat, but he mentions that he's already made up his mind. It tells him to do whatever he likes, and he's angry that it doesn't care about its life, but the cat mentions that nothing good will come if it continues living. He asks Amelia how to start the ritual, and she tells him to name the cat, so he calls it Yoru. She tells him to pour his mana into it, and she warns him he won't be able to stop once he starts the ritual, but he assures her that he won't die. As he begins pouring his mana, he suddenly finds himself inside Yoru's mind, and he sees it destroying a town. He tries to stop it, but it hits him with an energy beam and tells him to eliminate it, or his soul will perish there. It hits him with its claws, and his real body also starts to bleed, which makes Amelia worry. He throws knives at Yoru, and it thinks he has finally started to fight seriously, so it starts to transform, but he allows himself to get stabbed by its claw. He tells Yoru he won't eliminate it, and he knows that it doesn't want to kill him as well, so it tells him that it's a monster's instinct to hurt other races, but he knows that it's sick and tired of living that way. He tells Yoru he'll look after it, and make sure it doesn't cause such destruction again, which calms it down, and he succeeds in forming a monster pact. As Akira wakes up, he puts a hand on Yoru, which changes the symbol on its body, and Amelia mentions that it means their souls have been linked. It pledges its loyalty to him, and a teleportation circle appears in front of them, so he thinks about moving forward. But he knows that Yoru is still injured, and it notes that the circle won't disappear until they go through it, so they should wait for it to recover. Amelia suggests talking with each other to pass the time, and Yoru agrees with her, since it's a chance for them to get to know each other. Meanwhile, Sato and the others arrive at a town, but they're surprised to see that it looks just like Japan. They put on new clothes and enjoy the food, but Sato notes that they should discuss the situation, and he mentions that the first thing they need to do is find a job. So Nanase thinks they should register in a guild and become adventurers, and Sato agrees with him, telling everyone they also need to gather information about this world. One of them, named Daisuke, wonders if there's a book on how they can get back to their world, and Sato thinks the only way to do it is to defeat the demon lord. He notes that the king and princess must know how to send them back, since they were the ones who summoned them, and he thinks they can negotiate with them if they defeat the demon lord. He mentions that they should go to the demon lord's continent as soon as possible, but Asashi disagrees with his plan, and thinks they should stay there until they meet up with Akira. He thinks that Akira is stronger than all of them, so it would be foolish to challenge the demon lord without him, but everyone has different opinions about him. They tell Sato to make the final decision, and he thinks Akira won't team up with them, because even though they've been in the same class since kindergarten, Akira still doesn't recognize him. He knows that only the hero's holy sword can defeat the demon lord, which means they need teamwork to pull it off, but Akira won't be interested in it since he's stronger than they are. He thinks they should only work with Akira once they're as strong as him, and he decides to stay there to wait for Akira, but only if the monsters in the area are strong enough to help them train. In the dungeon, Amelia reveals that she had to run away from her hometown, and when they caught up to her, she used her gravity magic to break the cliff and get away from them. She fell into the river and ended up washing up on a shore, where she was swallowed by a dark slime. She saw Akira when she woke up, and she doesn't mind what happened, since it led to her meeting with him, but he tells her she needs to go back and sort things out. He knows that her little sister has a problem with her, so Amelia should talk it out with her, but she thinks it isn't possible. He tells her about the time he bought a new phone for his sister, but she got angry since she didn't want him to work harder just to buy her stuff, so their mother told her it's because he loves her. He tells Amelia that even if they fight with their loved ones, they're still family at the end of the day, and he wishes that he could see his mother and sister, but he refuses to go back until he avenges Saran. A dark energy appears around him, but he manages to snap out of it, and Yoru tells him to control his bloodlust. They mention that they've also heard about Saran, and Akira uses his gloves to play with Yoru to try and lighten the mood. He starts petting Yoru, who tells him to take this situation seriously, because if one of them is eliminated, the other will die as well. But they can communicate with each other no matter how far apart they are, since their souls are already linked. Amelia is jealous hearing this, so Akira notes that there's nothing she can do, since Yoru is his familiar. As they prepare to go through the circle, Amelia notes that she heard rumors that it will take them to wherever one of them wants to go. But she doesn't care where they get teleported to as long as she's with Akira, who wonders if it can also return him to his world, but he dismisses the thought, since it isn't the right time for him to go back. They end up getting teleported to the land of the elves, which shocks Amelia, but there's an elf that shoots at her. So Akira protects her, and he quickly gets close to the elf, threatening to kill him if he doesn't stop. The elf tells her she doesn't have a place there anymore, so she should just run away again, but Akira knocks him out. He notices that they've already been surrounded, and Amelia's sister Rose declares that she will make Amelia pay for the sin that she committed. In a flashback, we see Amelia going on a walk, and she's impressed when she sees Rose training with the knights, where she manages to disarm them, but her attendant reminds her that she's the one who will be their next leader. But her fiancé Liam ends up wanting to call off their engagement. Rose tells Amelia it's because she's a child of Blight, and she ends up being accused of an unforgivable sin. In the present, Akira wonders about what Amelia did, so Rose reveals that she was poisoned by her, but Amelia swears she thought she was giving her a potion. Rose tells Akira to hand Amelia over, and she uses her mesmerize skill to control him. Amelia gets angry, telling her sister to undo her spell, so that Akira can decide what he wants to do for himself, and Rose is surprised seeing Amelia angry at her for the first time, but Akira reveals that he wasn't affected, and Yoru notes that the skill doesn't work on those who are above her level. Rose doesn't believe that Akira is stronger than her, but he tells her to drop Amelia's false charges, because he knows she isn't the type to lie and deceive. Rose orders the other elves to kill Akira, so he prepares to fight, but the king suddenly appears and tells them to stop. Rose is surprised to see him since he's supposed to be away, and he asks her what's going on. All the other elves speak for her, mentioning Amelia's crime, but the king can see that Rose charmed them all with her mesmerize skill, so he tells her to release them from her control. He promises to make things right with Amelia, but he tells Akira to leave, and Amelia mentions that Akira was the one who saved her. He tells her it doesn't matter, because the other races are forbidden to be there, so she decides to leave as well, but he doesn't allow it, since she's the one who will one day take his place. Akira mentions that Amelia can decide what to do for herself, and he even threatens the king. The king sees that he had the skill to defeat Liam, so he challenges Akira to a duel, where the winner will decide what happens. He nominates Rose to fight in his place, and decides to do it in front of the holy tree. As they head over, Amelia apologizes for getting Akira involved, but he says it was his own decision. He wonders why they called her a child of Blight, so she explains the legends that mention that when twins are born, and one is different from their parents, they are said to bring calamity to the land in the future. Yoru notes that the legend was long dismissed as a superstition, so he thinks Rose bringing it up was just out of jealousy for her, and Akira mentions that he thinks her hair is beautiful. They reach the holy tree, and Akira decides not to use his concealed presence so that everyone can see when he wins, but Amelia warns him that Rose is the strongest swordsman among the elves. Akira is surprised she's praising her, so she notes that they used to be close, and she still sees her as her precious little sister. As they prepare to fight, Rose can't believe he isn't drawing his sword, so he notes that he doesn't want to accidentally kill her. The king tells them to start, and Rose immediately attacks, but Akira is able to avoid her sword, and he pushes her away. She thinks he's toying with her, so she enhances her sword with her wind magic and blasts him with it, but he manages to get out of the way. He gets close to her and sweeps her leg, knocking her down, and he asks her if she's had enough. He mentions how Amelia praised her, hoping they can work things out, but she notes that Amelia stole everything from her. She continues her attack, pushing him back, but her magic starts to go out of control, so Akira orders Yoru to protect Amelia. In a flashback, we see Rose admiring Amelia's hair, but after Amelia's class was identified as a legendary spirit medium, she received all the attention. She insists on taking back what's hers, and Amelia tells her she needs to stop. Liam gives her an item to help, and she uses the branch of the holy tree to purify the entire area. All the soldiers are released from Rose's mesmerize, and she thinks it's all over for her, so she prepares her final attack. Akira realizes the people behind him won't survive if he dodges it, so he activates his shadow magic and manages to devour the wind, but as it's about to consume Rose as well, he calls it back, and it ends up covering his body. Rose refuses to lose, but he blocks her attack and sends her flying. She thinks Amelia and Liam are there to laugh at her, since they broke her mesmerize so easily, but Amelia mentions that Liam was never under her control. She doesn't believe her and tells her to punish her however she likes, but the king suddenly admits that he was the one that was wrong. He reveals that Amelia never took anything from her, and he actually used his skill to erase her memories. He gives them back to her, and we see her wanting to become stronger. She goes to the dungeon, where a mysterious person gives her an orb that can attract monsters, telling her that defeating them will help her level up faster. So she uses it in the dungeon, but there are too many monsters that appear, and she quickly gets overwhelmed. She runs outside, but is shocked because they shouldn't be able to follow her. She thinks she needs to fight so that no one else is harmed, and Liam comes running with the other knights, but he ends up getting stabbed by a goblin. The king explains that she fell into despair from guilt after Liam died, so he had to take away her memory, but Amelia was thankfully able to create resurrection magic, so Liam was able to be saved. But after that, Rose felt a distancing from everyone, because she was the only one who didn't know the truth. The king realizes that trying to keep the secret led to a wall forming between them, so he wanted her to boost her confidence with the duel, so she wouldn't need to rely on her mesmerize skill, and he wanted to reveal the truth once her heart was stronger. He mentions that when Liam was revived, a leaf from the holy tree merged with his body, so he became immune to the mesmerize skill, and he explains he tried to help her make peace, but Amelia ended up being exiled. Rose can't believe that she mistook everyone's concern for pity, and made even her sister who always looked out for her enemy, but Amelia tells her she was always a kind person, and they seem to all finally be able to make up. After that, they have a feast, and Akira reminds the king that he was the winner, so Amelia is free to do whatever she wants. The king wonders where he will go next, so he mentions that Yoru told him about the Beastmen continent, because it's a good place to acquire and maintain weapons, and Amelia decides to follow him wherever he goes. Meanwhile, we see Sato and the others on a ship, and he apologizes to Asashi for not being able to wait for Akira, but we learn that they're also headed to the Beastmen continent to improve their weapons. But that's where this video ends. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more of this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.